next 3 years, 5 years, until we'll see major adoption of IoT all around us. Can you give us your view about it? Who want to be? Stefan, just take the microphone in your hand and please let us know.
I don't like these because I always do this, and then you can't hear me, and then I do that, and then I shout. The answer to the question is, how long is a piece of string? You can't actually answer that question because to do so you have to quantify 47 different variables. Right? What does it mean to be adopted? What does it mean to have one installation or 10 installations? What does it mean when you get economies of scale, when you get ways in which you get emerging behaviors because you have an implementation here, an implementation there, and they speak to each other. And then you get something completely different that you didn't have before. So, in my view, what we're looking for is examples such as the ones we saw tonight. They're focused around innovation. They're each, relatively small, but they are each important. And they add up to something bigger. And so when you say, well, when have we reached some magic number? I don't think that's what we're looking for. We need here, clearly, to conserve water, because if we don't, we have to spend a lot of energy on desalination and the like. So 2 of the examples that we saw tonight make a significant contribution in that area. And then it just goes on. You can make 1,000 examples around that. So I think what we're looking for is kind of an adoption rate similar to the hype curve but inverted. What will happen is that the number of conferences will drop on IoT, the number of implementations will rise, the effects will appear slowly, and then suddenly we will be in a different world. When Sir Tim Berners-Lee invented the URL, all he wanted to do was to share documents between two labs at CERN in Geneva. That's all he wanted to do. Today, I can rent out my room, I can rent out my car, I can book airlines. I have completely failed to get my boarding pass tomorrow, but that's British Airways' fault. And so it goes. No one possibly imagined that 30 years ago. That's where we are today.
Thank you. Ruti?
Thank you. So fortunately, Samsung is in a position also to influence and not only to forecast. Maybe many people here know how many phones Samsung sells every year.
400 million.
Right, so this exceeds 300 million every year. But not many people know how many digital appliances Samsung sells every year. So this is 660 million digital appliances. This means starting from televisions, hi-fi, refrigerators, air conditioning, robots, you name it. So in CES, the president of Samsung Consumer Electronics gave a statement that by 2020, all of these Samsung digital appliances are going to be smart and connected. So if you add up, you see that we are talking about more than 1 billion devices in your pockets, in your homes, in your cars. You're going to wear them. All these devices are going to be smart and connected.
By the year 2020.
By the year 2020.
Hey, it's around the corner. Eran.
Well, I think the answer lies a little bit in the question. When you say IoT, it's not like you're talking about something that's very, very well defined. I think I at least was surprised to learn in the last 3 years that all buses, or 75% of all buses around the Western world, are connected already. I don't know if you thought about it, but most cars in the Western world are already connected because there's a cell phone inside most of the time. And you can get help in things from navigation to correcting your improper driving habits. So if you were referring to the vision of every little engine inside, of every little component inside the engine being connected and all the data being analyzed, yes, that's going to take a few more years. But we're already connected to a very, very significant degree, and it's increasing all the time. And I don't think there's going to be a moment where we're going to say we're there. It's just a process, and this wave of innovation of smaller components, better connectivity, is increasing in energy all the time.
Not sure that I learned a lot from your answer, but okay.
That's the maximum I was able to provide at this point in time.
Okay, we'll see. We'll give you another chance to tell us more later. Sasha.
Okay. First of all, good evening and thank you for inviting me to the panel. I will tell the voice of the community, of Israel IoT community. This is the largest Israel community that includes approximately 3,000 people and one of the largest, I'm thinking 5 or 3 largest communities in the world. And I think it's a lot of words and a lot of sessions and a lot of conference about the IoT, but in any way I think it's only in some sense in the beginning, and it's a lot what it's possible to do. And
How many of these 3,000 people are doing IoT really?
It's depending from which spectrum, from which direction. But we have, I think, 60-70% developers. That's the small startups, 2, 3 people, 5 people and more. And 30% in different spectrum of IoT world, from the investors to the service providers and so on, cloud services and so on. So
Can you answer the question?
yes, of course. So I think it will be almost endless, and I think the Israel will lead this change, and I very believe in Israel IoT community. So we will see a lot of startups, and we see a little bit here.
Yes, Stefan, I have a question for you.
Okay.
You want to relate to the previous one, or?
I'd like to just pick up on
Sure.
Aaron's answer. I really think we need to be clear about the notion that there really is no fixed point when suddenly we have this thing. What's going to happen as we connect more and more devices is that new behaviors and new concepts and new business models will emerge. It's like the old story about the lily pond doubling in size, and you think it's half full on the 29th day, but it's doubling in size. So the next day it's completely full, and that's where we are, and deciding exactly where that line is just not possible.
Okay, thanks. You are part of a consortium that today has how many members?
When I last checked, 220. Would you like me to check again?
Impressive. No, I think it's impressive already. Let's talk about standards, okay? Because I think one of the problems or hurdles to implement more IoT is standards. And today we lack standards. What is your organization doing in order to set the standard? Or are you waiting for Google to set the standard?
We're going from the back. No, we're not waiting for Google for anything. I think I want to challenge the premise of the question. Do we have not enough standards? Well, I think I have a lot of standards for things like connectivity. There are all sorts of different ways of connecting devices. Low power ways, wide area network ways, and small area, this, that, and the other. So one question that we actually have is not what standards do we have or what standards do we need, but rather what standards apply where. And so one of the things that I think we need to do is to characterize certain vertical industries, oil and gas, let's say, or water, a good example from today, and try to understand what the requirements are and therefore which standards apply. Now, what we at the IIC are doing, first of all, we are not a standards development organization. I'd also add, while I'm on the subject, that we're not a US-based organization, we are global. We have member companies here in Israel, Japan, Germany, name a country, we got 26 of them. The reason I say that is because the press likes to do 3 things. 1, you're a standards development organization, no we're not. 2, you're US based, no we're not. 3, you and Germany need to fight, no we won't. Sorry, not happening. So if you heard those stories like Industry 4.0, we're doing our best. But sorry, to your question. Our goal is first of all to establish the areas of a typical internet system architecture, a reference architecture. We published that in June. It's available on our website. The next step is to identify what standards are available. The third step is a gap analysis to understand what's missing. The fourth step is to define a set of requirements. And the fifth step is to wrangle with standards development organizations to get what we want. So we'll be working in both directions. First of all, to work out what's missing. Secondly, to work out what it is that is needed where. Sorry for the lengthy answer.
No, I'm still not sure that you said there's a lot of standards, and the problem is there are too many standards. And the question is if your organization can size down the standards that all the companies that are doing IoT will use kind of one or two standards and not many standards.
No, but that actually isn't the problem. The problem is how easy is it to adapt from one standard to another. In my briefcase, I have a wonderful device called the Swiss adapter. It allows for 3 inputs, the Argentinian, Australian diagonal thing, the weird 3-pronged UK thing, the round European and Israeli thing, and it has all inputs and all outputs. The price of adaptation is, on the street, €5. In an airport, €20. That's a different problem. But the issue here is how easy is it to adapt and interoperate between standards. If I have 28 standards and the cost of adaptation is low, that's not a problem. If I have 2 standards and I can't make them talk to each other, that's a big problem. So I think we need to get away from the counting and think rather instead of interoperability, which I think is the fundamentalist.
Okay, got it. Eran, back to you. Sorry, Ruti,
Try better this
I'll
time.
get back to you later, okay? I just want to break this order of one. Eran, okay, so you're dealing with startup companies. And when we speak about IoT, we hear a lot about smart cities, and smart countries, and smart medicine. And this is usually a game that plays, the players are governments and big corporations, not small companies. Do you think we'll see many young companies in the IoT market?
So I'll go back to my previous answer. I think you keep using the term IoT as if it's a well-defined thing that's a specific market or a specific niche. It's actually a wave of innovation that's hitting all markets, all niches. To your question, typically VCs are not too excited to invest in what we call B2G, any kind of government organization. We're not afraid of big corporations typically, but to invest in something that's sold to armed forces, countries, cities, is typically considered less exciting.
Okay, so let me phrase the question. Okay, you initiated the largest IoT conference in Israel, which means that first of all you like this IoT thing, and you think that somehow there is a business in it for you, for your fund. So why do you think this is interesting? Why do you think you see future in IoT and the business you're involved with?
So IoT, I think, is an opportunity to reinvent a lot of things that we've come to know for many, many years. One of the most exciting things I think IoT brings to Israel specifically is an opportunity to get involved in consumer electronics. I think we have, Ruti here can tell you a lot about what she's looking for as a huge multinational corporation looking for innovation here in Israel in consumer electronics. There are companies here that are making effort today to conquer markets like home irrigation, like home plants and pots, to reinvent sleep pattern recognition or reinvent sleep monitoring and in many different markets. So I think consumer electronics, which is something that Israel is typically did not do or never played in those markets, something that all of a sudden there's an opportunity for the software, hardware combination, the makers, the people that Sasha has in his organization. Many of the people here can all of a sudden become players in a market that was not available in the past. At the same time, things like the industrial internet is a huge ground for innovation for people that deal from anything from sensors to big data analytics and everything in between. So many opportunities in almost every single market we know.
Okay, that's a good one. Sasha, can you wait a little bit? You want to relate to what he's saying? Okay, so go ahead.
I just want to add that I agree with Eran that the communication between VCs and the startups and the top from the ground, it's very difficult. A lot of time, not only in Israel but also in US, sometimes not understand each other, and this slow the moving forward. And I think this is a situation that need to be changed. And we, from our point of view and from our people, make a lot of efforts to do this, and maybe we will establish new fund for IoT, and we establish already innovation center for IoT. And I think in this way, in openness, we can make a lot of steps forward. Our success of our community and our innovation center, only secret is in openness, because we are open and open to everybody. And I am welcome to come to Cluster to speak, and to speak with the startups, really startups that fight every day to be the best startups in the world. That's what I can tell, and I think we will see the change in a half a year, in a year, or in two. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ruti, Samsung has, you said, billion units that will be there by 2020, and basically you can just connect only Samsung products. But probably you want to also be a player for other companies' products. Can you share with us the vision of Samsung when it comes to IoT?
Yes, thank you. Actually, one of the maybe challenging, prohibiting factor, as you already noticed, in getting IoT growth is that many companies work as silos. They solve some type of water issue, they solve some type of smart home issue, something acquired last year a company in the United States called SmartThings, and SmartThings tries to solve this issue of silos. SmartThings put a hub together, a smart hub that can work with many different devices from different vendors. They already grow it to hundreds of different vendors and devices. And of course, certainly the world cannot rely on one vendor. The world needs to be able to talk among multiple of sources. If we want to really have good insights, and we talked about analytics, then we need to be able to gain information from many vendors. And here we come to a big issue. One size does not fit all. Different type of IoT devices will need different type of devices. Some of them send only very few bytes every day, others sends videos 24/7. Some devices work on battery for 10 years, other devices are connected. Some devices need a lot of local computation power for machine learning, other devices are very dumb. Some devices are worn and have a very limited form factor, others don't. So it's not that we can have one solution that fits all, but we need to make sure that our family of solutions enable all these various devices to talk with each other. This is why we launched in May our Arctic family, arctic.io, if you want to link it. It's a family of different system on models, each with different capabilities in terms of connectivities, processing power, storage, etc., for various type of such devices, enabling the whole world, not only Samsung, to be able to work together and to gain all these helpful insights to improve our lives. So this is the vision, and hopefully we'll be able to make it happen.
Great, good luck. Sasha, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You have 3,000 members.
Yes.
Give us only 2 success stories that really helped, the community help each other to create some new products, new projects.
Of course.